Okay. Oh, Vince has joined the room. There we go. Deleg. Great. Ask your questions, guys. Let's get started. We can't hear anything. Oh, see a little bit of
Hello?
Yeah. Ask away, buddy.
Okay, I have two questions.
Go for it.
First is like my brain overvalues my time because I like gaming so much that like doing anything besides gaming is like a high cost for me.
Yep.
And the second question is like, I think I'm meditating wrong. I've been doing like for 8 weeks, but like I see the guests like having major experience at first and I don't have anything.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. So I completely agree with you that your brain overvalues the time from gaming. That's why everyone games, because gaming gives you a very clear like path to success. So what should you do about that?
Smaller tasks.
Absolutely. Right? So you have to make the cost of gaming, like if you tell yourself to apply for a job or get a girlfriend or get healthy or get in shape, your brain is like, that is way too much of a time investment for a very low likelihood of success. And so what you need to do is change the equation for your brain. And you say that you're meditating wrong.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I've been meditating for like over 8 weeks, and like I don't have a technique that like I tried everything that was on YouTube, and I feel like I don't achieve a no mind state. And I see the guests in the show like on the having major experiences at first, like Mitch, was major, and I don't remember right.
Yeah, so that's kind of complicated. And has something to do with a Sanskrit term called diksha, which means initiation. And I'm sorry, but I know this is going to sound completely bizarre and it's probably going to create more questions than answers, but there's this concept in meditation instruction where a teacher actually imparts a portion of their spiritual energy to the person they're directly teaching. And I actually didn't so like you get initiated into a meditation practice by a teacher or guru, and that somehow that initiation is worth more than like learning it from a book or a video or whatever. And I actually did not put any value in that concept. I found no scientific validity for that concept until I started making observations that the people that I teach meditation directly to oftentimes have big experiences on the first try, whereas a lot of people watching do not. I don't understand quite how that works. So I'd say that, continue practicing and try different techniques. We're going to do a little bit of meditation now. Okay? Does anybody else have a question? Daniel, thanks for coming on, buddy. I'm going to just boot you in case if it gives room for someone else. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, Dr. K, I have a question.
Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
So basically, I was wondering, like you said, you build confidence by surviving failure.
Yep.
And how does that actually happen? Like, shouldn't failure diminish your self-confidence? And like, you shouldn't really, you can build yourself up that way. And second question, like, does that not depend on your perception? Like, is perceiving failure a certain way? I mean, let me rephrase. Sorry. Perceiving failure a certain way might increase your motivation, and perceiving it differently might reduce it. So how do you influence your perception of that?
Great questions. So the first question was, isn't that a blow to your confidence? Mm-hmm. Right? So the answer is yes. So I didn't say that failing leads to confidence. What did I say?
Surviving failure leads to
There's a big difference. What's the difference?
your perception, I would imagine. Like if you think
very good, right? So that now we go straight to your second question, which is that like if a child falls and gets hurt and they don't feel like if the consequence of the action was negative, it's going to be like it's going to be a punishment, and it's not going to reinforce the behavior. Confidence comes from surviving failure, right? It's from knowing that you're actually alive at the end of the day. So in my case, like when I was failing out of college, it did not increase my confidence at all. It was the knowledge that like 1 or 2 years after graduating, that, you know, I was still me, and that even though I had failed and that was a challenge, it was kind of like this idea that, okay, like failing hasn't actually destroyed me. That I'm still okay, I'm still smart, I'm still capable, and I just need to change a little bit about like how I function. So surviving failure is a big difference from failing. And you're right that it has to do with your perception. And understand that like failure in and of itself is going to be a negative reinforcer. I mean, it's not really the right term. It's going to be a punisher for a particular behavior. So it's going to reduce a behavior. So this is exactly why processing and understanding your perspective is very important, because you're 100% correct that you need to change your perspective on what failure means. So a lot of times when we get wrapped up in the ego, we look at one failure and then we just stop trying again. Right? So if I fail a class, I'm not going to try again. But if you play a video game and you lose a game, how does that change your behavior?
You just queue up again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I want you guys to do is think about that and observe within yourself. Why doesn't losing a game cause you to quit playing? And why does losing something at life cause you to quit playing? And if you can understand within yourself why you can queue up again, that's what confidence is all about, right? When we think about someone who's confident, if I ask a girl out and she says no and I queue up again, you view that person as confidence. That's the very definition of confidence. It's not letting failure affect you, and understanding that like your worth as a human being is not necessarily tied to the outcomes of your actions. Just because a girl says no doesn't mean that I'm unlovable. But for a lot of people, that's what happens in their mind. Right? I mean, there are a lot of reasons that a girl could say no. She could be in a relationship. She could have just finished an abusive relationship. She could be not interested in men sexually. There are all kinds of, or romantically, there are all kinds of reasons that people say no. But when our ego gets involved, it no longer is about that aspect and starts to be about us.
Okay. Yeah, that answers my question. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Great questions. I'm going to give you the boot to make room for someone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go, whoever that was.
Okay. I have a video. You were talking about dealing with negative emotions, and I grew up being called stupid and whatnot throughout my entire life, and I've been failing through the course of like my education, and that kind of led me to take 2 gap years. And I know that this is like a big topic on its own, but I want to know like how to specifically deal with those emotions, because even when I'm listening you talk, I get like this anxiety where I'm like, I'm not gonna understand this. Like, I'm stupid.
Okay. So you're right that that is a whole topic in and of itself, and I can't give you an answer that you deserve in the time that we have left, but I'm going to give you an answer anyway, right? So the first thing is it's good that you notice it. So I'm going to ask you, is it Deleg?
Yeah, Deleg.
Deleg. So Deleg, so if you're noticing that thing, you are not that thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing to understand, is that you don't have to be defined by that feeling, even though that feeling is strong. It's just a feeling. It's not truth. And I know this sounds kind of bizarre, but oftentimes we think our emotions and our thoughts are facts. That's the way that we live and operate through life. They're not facts. They're just emotions and feelings. And if I'm watching a scary movie and I'm scared, that doesn't actually mean I'm in danger, right?
Yeah.
And if I can think all kinds of thoughts, like I can think I'm a dumb person and my mind is telling me that, but that doesn't mean it's true. It's just my mind telling me that. So over time, what you need to do is start to appreciate and notice that Deleg is actually different. There's a part of you, there's some kind of, like, I want you to think about it this way. You're the machine, you're the computer, and you have an OS, and then you have programs. So the computer is different from the program, and you have a program that's running in your head that says Delig is not going to understand it, Delig is not going to understand it, Delig is not going to understand it. It's like Spotify like playing in the background, and you're trying to like have a voice chat with someone, and Spotify is just going to like be playing in the background. And then it's going to be like really hard for you to function. But just because it's saying that doesn't mean it's true. And that recognition starts with noticing.
Right.
And you know, you can also kind of ask yourself, like, what are other, like, if you don't think, so just think about this for a second. If there's a voice in you that says that you're not going to understand it, why are you still in the webinar? Why don't you drop out? You're not going to understand it anyway.
Fair.
No, I'm asking, I'm not making a point. I'm genuinely asking a question. Why didn't you drop out of the seminar?
Because I don't want to try and understand.
Beautiful. So there is another program in you that says, actually, I can make a difference. Actually, I want to try. And all you need to do is learn to prioritize that program instead of the one that tells you that you suck at life.
Right.
Right? So you have both of those programs within you, and then kind of like the angel and devil on your shoulder, over time, you can train yourself to listen to one over the other. But it starts with individual moments like this, where you chose not to drop out in the seminar. And pay attention to that. Think about, like, why didn't you drop out? Did you think about dropping out? What happened in your head that kept you from dropping out?
I mean, yeah, I did want to drop out of this call because I thought my question was not valuable in a sense.
Perfect. So why didn't you, right? So now you really need to go back and pay attention to why you didn't drop out.
Well, because do you want me to answer?
Sure.
Because I felt as if my issues, as you said, it's a common issue where people feel as if they doubt themselves. And then I felt as if since I have the opportunity here, I can ask for other people as well.
Yeah, but so do you see how that's a different program? The content of the program is fine. What I'm pointing out to you is that there is an impulse within you that says drop out, and there is another impulse within you that says, no, let me do this as part of my dharma. Let me ask this question for other people, even though people are going to think I'm an idiot because I'm asking a question that's unrelated. But you did it anyway. You chose to listen to the part that was going to make you feel like an idiot. And that's exactly what embracing failure looks like. It's choosing the things that are going to make you feel like an idiot. That's how you build confidence. Because now, Delig, you're a little bit more confident to speak, whether you realize it or not. Because you did the hard thing, you made yourself look like an idiot, and it turned out okay. Right? So now you've survived looking like an idiot. How does it feel?
Pretty good.
There you go. Right? It's that simple. Not easy. It's simple. Okay? Great question, man.
Okay.
And more
Thank you
about
to the other
developing
person.
confidence. Okay, we're gonna have time for one more, and then I gotta go.
Yeah, my question is about like the focus of meditation, of like motivation.
Okay.
Like the way of like shifting your focus from the thing that you want to the thing that you know is good for you. Like beating the like biological rewarding system of doing the things you know are not necessarily good for you.
Okay.
To put that focus on the things you know that are good for you and that you don't necessarily want like in the instant moment.
Yeah, so I would actually disagree with your premise. How do you know that something is good for you?
In the sense that it would make me, I don't know, healthy, or would be an investment of time that I know would reward me with something that would...
Do you know that?
Well, I feel it.
So where is that feeling coming from?
It's from like, I don't know, a vision of the future that I'd like to
Excellent.
go towards.
So let me explain something to you, Vince. Fantasies about the future do not factor into the likelihood of success calculation that your brain does. This is exactly my point. So I can fantasize about wanting a yacht. Like, I want to have a yacht. I want it to have like a very fast internet connection. I want to get a gaming PC, stick it on my yacht, and I want to sail around the world while I game, while I'm on the ocean. And then I want to dock in places and eat delicious local food. And what does that do to my motivation?
well, it just hampers it because it's kind of a unattainable ideal.
Absolutely. Right? So I think you're starting with a couple of assumptions that I don't agree with. And that's that you kind of say that there are some things that are good for me and there are some things that are not good for me. And how do I choose the thing that is good for me instead of like playing video games? And I think that your brain doesn't actually understand that those things are good for you. Because I think that they are like they're not things that you feel. They're like random rational thoughts or fantasies which don't actually lead to behavioral change. That doesn't go into the equation. So I think actually what you need to do is go back to that like defining what you want thing. So the likelihood of success calculation. So like what's a goal of like what's an example of something that you think is good for you?
Eating healthy.
Perfect. So I even addressed this almost
Yes.
directly. Eating healthy is not a thing. How do you eat healthy? Tell me.
You put your attention towards buying certain types of food and cooking certain types of meal for you.
So what is the likelihood of success of that?
The likelihood of success of putting your attention on buying healthy food is pretty high.
But I'm not so sure about that, right? So like my point is that you offered a very complicated statement. Putting your attention on buying food and then cooking it.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is chunk up each of those, because I agree with you that if you put your full attention on the buying,
Yeah.
that becomes easier than quote unquote eating healthy. But the problem is that your brain is like, there are a bunch of other things that you're talking about here. You're talking about, you know, being willful when you go to the grocery store. You're talking about buying food, and a lot of people buy healthy food. But then what happens?
Then you have to cook it. You have to prepare your food. You have to
And
put
how do
your
people
attention.
do it that?
Well, it depends on the case, but I mean, if you buy the food,
So
I
let
guess
me
it makes it
explain something.
easier.
If your answer is it depends on the case, your brain calculates that as a low likelihood of success. If your brain thinks it depends, that's not a high likelihood of success. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So therein lies your problem, because you're talking about eating healthy, and health is the example I use because it's a great example of how we actually poorly define tasks for our brain, and our brain doesn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So I think in your case, I would start by really examining where you get the idea that there is like something that's good for you and something that isn't. Because I think your brain believes the exact opposite. It's like, we can do this weird fantasy, random amalgamation of tasks that
So
has
let's
an
call this
unclear
guy
chance
Dr.
of
D.
success,
Dr. D,
or
well,
we
he
can
might
play
be
a
on
video
drugs.
game.
So Dr. D, he just finished up his residency, and he just landed.
Yeah.
Got it? Okay. I gotta run. So thank you very much, Vince. We're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and, I'm sorry, Micah, I gotta kick you. But we're gonna do 5 minutes of meditation, and then I really do have to run, okay? So, sit up straight. We're gonna do Nadi Shuddhi, which is alternate nostril breathing. So take your fingers and do this. So what you're doing is folding these two down. If you have to do this, that's okay, it's not a big deal. It can also be like this or something like that, it's not a big deal. Take your right nostril, block your block your right nostril. Breathe in. You do have to run, okay? Switch and out. Breathe in through the same nostril. Switch out.
Your turret has been destroyed.
In.
An enemy has been slain.
Our deeds shape the future.
Switch out.
Double kill.
In. Switch out.
Our courage must never
In.
waver. Charge!
Switch out.
I will not falter.
In.
Battle the infinite.
Switch out. And now continue at your own pace. go ahead and finish the breath that you're on.
as one.
Let your eyes remain closed. Please relax.
Keep faith in yourself.
And now kind of notice, once again, there is sort of a basic you. There's an observing self. That there may be thoughts, emotions, desires, conclusions. But those are all products from you. They're not you. So all those little voices inside you that say don't bother or do this or don't do this is your choice whether you listen to them.
Forge onward.
And that from this place, how true or false they are becomes a little bit more clear.
For Demacia.
When you're ready, go ahead and come on back. Thank you guys very much. Day one of our webinar. We're going to continue tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to do tomorrow. Maybe we may talk a little bit about managing relationships in tight quarters given COVID. So like how to communicate better with people, things like that. Maybe something else. I'm not quite sure. So thank you guys very much. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. CS Central Standard Time. And we will upload, I think, to YouTube. So take care. Welcome to the Healthy Gamer webinar. All right, so let's get started. So my name is Dr. Alo Kanoja. Welcome to the Healthy Gamer webinar day 2. So we decided to do this webinar because we, I know a bunch of people are kind of stuck at home with COVID, and so we thought it would be a good opportunity to offer a different kind of content. And what we're hoping to do is offer more comprehensive teaching about various concepts. So welcome to day 2. I'm excited. I'm glad that all of you guys are here. Just a little bit about the structure of the webinar. So we're going to start with 10 minutes of yoga. And based on yesterday's feedback, thank you very much to everyone who filled it out. I'm going to start by actually demonstrating one round, and we're going to go slower, and we're going to do 3 rounds today. So actually, yoga may take a little bit longer than 10 minutes. The second thing, so the topic for the day, so we do yoga for about 10 minutes, and then we cover a topic for somewhere between 30 and 50 minutes. And the topic today is going to be anxiety. So I'm going to explain kind of my take on anxiety. And really not so much, we're going to go into some detail, but I think a big part of the reason that I'd like to talk about anxiety today is to teach some basic principles about how the mind works. And as we better understand, like, what are the rules of the mind, then I think our ability to control ourselves sort of improves over time. And so we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety today. And then we'll have time for Q&A. And I think another piece of feedback about yesterday's webinar was that people felt like the Q&A was a little bit disorganized. I completely agree. And so they're hoping for a little bit more structure and maybe even a little bit more time for Q&A. So I'm not quite sure exactly how we're going to manage that, but we're going to do our best. So we'll have a little bit more time for Q&A. And then we'll end with about 10 minutes of meditation. So we're going to start with yoga. So I encourage everyone to get up and do yoga with me. So the purpose of doing the webinar at the same time every day is for you to enjoy this and you guys can start with yoga. I think it's a great way to start your day. It's a great way to, it's a great way to start your day. It's a great way to sort of physically get up and moving a little bit. And we can talk a little bit more about that. So, let me just, there we go. This. So let's do it. So a reminder that I'm going to demonstrate one round of Surya Namaskar. So, Surya Namaskar is the Sanskrit phrase that means sun salutation. So this is a set of yoga practices that's designed to do first thing morning, and it kind of prepares your body and your mind. The first step of Surya Namaskar is I'm going to stand with my feet close together, and then arms kind of relaxed in a Namaste position. And then the first step is arms up. So biceps are going to be something that you can physical landmarks that if you try to do, the posture is going to be a little bit easier to do. And then second one is step down or go down and touch your toes. Remember, the goal here is not to touch your toes. You don't want to bend our knees. It's really to just bend your back and let gravity do the work for you. Third round, I'm going to put my hands, the palms of my hands right next to my feet. So they're forming kind of a little bit of a line. So show two going this way. That's where it makes sense. And what I'm going to do, put one leg back. And so once again, hand, foot, hand. Leg back here. And what you really notice about this is that you can kind of lean into it. You'll feel like this is like you can kind of come back out, lean into it. Come back out. And this knee should kind of be right next to your shoulder. Kind of demonstrate this.
The muscle marches at once.
This one back. Now it's like touching the shoulder. You want to kind of straight. And then toes, knees, chest, and body start So hips going to the ground, back is bent. Shoulders are not like this, shoulders are rolled out, elbows are bent. That's completely fine. Just to get that, or you can pick up more. Stay low, it's not a big deal. Look up. And then what you guys notice when you do yoga, the subtle part of your body, neck. You'll notice different things in other parts of your body. And you go forward like that, mountain pose. Once again, here's my biceps.
Keep faith in yourself.
Other leg forward. Back. You'll notice that the first round and the second round, the flexibility is far more. And that's the purpose of yoga. You'll have to go. Now you guys do with me, we're going to do 3 rounds. We're going to go slow, maybe it's the other one. So start with your feet apart. Close your eyes. Go ahead and just feel your body for a moment. And now put your feet together. Feel the instability. Open your eyes. And close them again. You can use this with slight opening and closing of the eyes for 30 seconds. Feel the stability return. Close your eyes. Feel the instability. So even that can kind of anchor you. Namaste position. Deep breath in and out. Biceps to glutes. Go ahead and stretch your arms up a little bit. Feel that expansion in your back. Next step would be to finish up our toes. Bend down to your toes. So go ahead and do that. That is the arm for you. Let yourself hand, let your head turn. Hold that for about 10 seconds. Yes.
Fear not.
You don't have to be there long, you can do this, you can do this, whatever your back feels like. Doesn't matter. Now, toss by your feet. That for a second.
Enemy killing spree.
Push up position. Look up. If you feel tired, that's okay. Once we make it, hands down, toes down, chest down. And go ahead and hang out here. Palms touching the ground, nose touching the ground, chest touching the ground, forehead touching the ground. Feel the back of your neck.
Has been destroyed.
Feel the lower back.
Inhibitor has been destroyed.
Big deep breath. Back starting to bend up. Shoulders nice and out. Elbows bent.
A summoner has disconnected. Defeat.